ask questions since there's such a large number of you here today.
Good morning. Well, good morning, everybody. Delighted to have you here. Delighted to have the legislative session wrapped up. The legislature got its work done. I spent 14 years in Washington where people would fight for 365 days and still not get their work done. The legislature took a long time, but they got their work done. The tax plan that they put forward looks really remarkably close to what I proposed in 2012. At that point in time, I proposed that the sales tax rate stay at 6.3. I proposed a flat tax, which takes away all your deductions and exemptions and lowers your rate, broadens your base, and you end up now with a sales tax of 6.5, a much flatter income tax. We've gone from 6.45 now to 4.7, the ratchet that can go on down. So in total, it looks pretty close to what I'd proposed in 2012. They've got the budget finished. I just signed it. I've got one small line item veto that is in it, but otherwise signed the budget, and I'll look forward to signing the rest of the tax package and the trailer as well. I greatly appreciate the work of the legislature this year. It was hard work, and I congratulate them on coming together to do what's right for the state of Kansas. I congratulate them on getting it done. There were a number of people that didn't help much with the process and just wanted to see it fail. But a number of people, a majority, came together in the House and the Senate to pass a budget and a tax bill to fund the government, and I applaud their work and their courage in getting their job done. Congratulate their legislature on its effort for controlling spending. They've addressed our three major expenditure drivers in education, Medicaid, and CAPERS. Thanks to the hard work of many legislators, the budget shortfall was cut in half from $800 million to approximately $400 million. CanCare policy changes to better serve members of people in the state of Kansas. Those policy changes were made to bend the cost curve down. There's refinancing of bonds to better terms and providing flexibility for the state to follow private sector best practices. As I mentioned, I signed the budget bill this morning with one line item veto. It was offered by the Board of Regents. It's approximately $1.9 million in both fiscal year 16 and 17 from a post-secondary education performance-based incentive fund. In the past, they've only used $100,000 of that fund, and that's what the Regents had offered up. I look forward to receiving Senate substitute for House Bill 2109 and House substitute for Senate Bill 270, the tax policy and the trailer bill. This bill continues our transition from taxes on productivity to taxes on consumption and provides a mechanism for continued reduction of income tax rates for all Kansans. It keeps Kansas on a strong path for economic growth and job creation. Now, some would have you believe this bill represents a tax increase, and that is not accurate. When looked at in totality, from 2012 to 2015, as I stated at the outset, Kansans are paying less in taxes and continuing to move off income taxes to consumption-based taxes. When you look at the overall tax environment, you'll see that between 2013 and 14, Kansans saved $713 million on taxes on their hard-earned incomes. This bill raises revenues of $348.4 million. The net effect is that with the reductions in income taxes and a transition to consumption taxes, Kansans are paying less in taxes than they were before. And more importantly, paying reduced taxes on their productivity, which is what income taxes are. It's taxes on productivity. Our policy is saving Kansans money and putting that money in their pocket rather than in the government's pocket. I understand people are concerned about how a sales tax of 6.5% will affect them on a day-to-day basis. And based on consumer expenditure survey data, which estimates 45% of a household's expenditures are subject to sales taxes, a household making right around $36,000 will see an annual sales tax increase of $56.35. For a household making $48,000 or just under that, they'll see an increase of $75.20. Some have suggested that only small businesses have profited from the tax policy, and that as well is not true. 71% of the cost of the 2012 tax policy was in savings to individual taxpayers. 71% of that was rate reductions, broad rate reductions. 29% went to small businesses. And that policy has been successful in creating jobs. We've seen the success of our economic policy in the number of working Kansans, our low unemployment rate of 4.3%, and the fact that working Kansans have more money in their pocket to save or spend as they see fit. In 2014, our state set another record with 15,780 new business filings, up from 13,646 in 2011. The median income for self-employed small business owners in Kansas exceeded national averages in 2013. Remember also that what we addressed in the first 4 years of this administration was not just tax policy. We took action to address critical issues that prior administrations, both Democrat and Republican, had not addressed. We invested in our state employee retirement fund in CAPERS. We're up over $440 million more in contributions to CAPERS than we had at pre-recession levels. We're investing in K-12. We're investing now more than $4 billion annually in K-12 education, where previous administrations used federal dollars to replace state funding and had no plan for what would happen when those federal dollars went away, which they did. We bent the cost curve for Medicaid while improving services to Kansans through KanCare. None of this was easy, but it was the right thing to do. And we continue to work to improve life for Kansans. This tax policy bill does several things to benefit Kansans. 388,000 low-income Kansans will pay no income tax after the signing of this bill. 388,000. None. Even for those who had tax liability even after taking the ITC and other credits. It puts a lid on property tax increases, holding cities and counties more accountable for property tax increases. It requires that any increase above the rate of inflation will be subject to a vote. And it implements a ratchet for lowering income tax levels even further. If we hit 102.5% of revenue estimates, then the ratchet would come into effect as we would use any revenues above that 102.5% to lower income tax rates further. While discussion of budget and tax policies have dominated conversations the past few weeks, let's not forget the historic and positive accomplishments of this legislative session. They moved swiftly to balance the 2015 budget. They sent legislation to my desk protecting the unborn, strengthening our Second Amendment rights, helping our nation's veterans, and protecting our state from federal overreach. I thank them for their work on behalf of the citizens of the great state of Kansas. They've done a great job. It's been a long, difficult session, and major accomplishments were made. I applaud the leadership. I want to particularly applaud the leadership of the Speaker, Ray Merrick, President of the Senate, Susan Wagle, of the Appropriation and Tax Committee chairmen in both the House and the Senate. They worked tirelessly for a long period of time to get this legislative session completed. They did a fabulous job pulling together in a difficult environment. I compliment them. And I end as I started off with, the session went long, obviously, record long. But they got their work done. And unlike Washington, where sessions go long and people don't get the work done, they got the work done. And I think that's just a fantastic accomplishment to what they accomplished. And I applaud them for that.